anything, because it might be fun to do a local collaboration.
They're doing for the 45th anniversary of Pac-Man. They're doing all these Pac-Man themed donuts.
Now it's weird they're doing it in May because it hit Japan in May, but it didn't hit the U.S. until October.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's probably an inventory thing, like make them all at the same time. it's cost. It's a cost thing. Like we're gonna buy all the ingredients at the same time. But I still thought it was pretty cool.
No, I think it's very cool. I appreciate it, and I got to upload a couple of my designs too, so I figured I'll do them all together. I did a Pony Boy one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm surprised I still haven't had it killed me that I had not yet put one of those up there. Like just the quote from Stay Gold. I'm like, how is that not on a t-shirt? What's going on, Jack? First one in the house. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Jack.
I checked your store to make sure there wasn't a There Is No Tomorrow by Apollo Creed before I
wouldn't. So I'll get that up there. So while we're waiting for people to funnel in, if you're watching the show on replay, it's always good to remind you all that we do have an actual time that we stream live. As a throwback to the 80s, we do our show broadcast and recorded in front of a virtually live studio audience. So those of you that join us on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time can actually be in our live chat. And as you make comments that, let's be honest, I think are worth sharing, I'll throw them onto the screen. Every now and then, Chris and Rochelle check me and ask me to throw someone on screen, which I do. Yeah. But if you're not seeing your stuff, it's usually my fault. Yep. What's going on, VJ? Good to see you. There's two. Getting a slow start today. But again, we do have people that will watch this in replay, so we'll go ahead and announce the show. Katie, James, people are coming in, so while they do, we'll throw the intro. First and foremost, welcome to the Three View Mirror, a show that started as a podcast but is morphing into a full-blown talk show. And what do we talk about? Well, we talk about the 70s. We talk about the 80s. We talk about the 90s. We talk about three topics specifically each week and discuss those three topics for about 15 minutes. And although those topics initially may seem random, that week's host actually has a hidden agenda, something that they've hidden, an idea that they have that connects, however loosely, the three topics together. And it's our job as the not hosts and as the live studio audience to listen diligently throughout the 45 minutes without throwing our guesses out until the very end, because we don't want to ruin it for anybody. And then at the end, we'll ask for what everybody thinks the hidden connection is. My name is John Katrides, better known as Gen X Jono across YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and I live and breathe all things 70s, 80s, and 90s, and I'm joined with two of my best friends here, Chris Clues and Rochelle Oblak. Chris, say hi.
Hey, Chris Clues here, speaker and author. I focus on the life and work lessons we can learn from 80s pop culture. You can find my books on Amazon or anywhere, hopefully, that you buy books, independent bookstores, etc. And you can find more about me at chrisclues.com.
And I am Rochelle Oblak, often known as Gen X Shell across my social media accounts. And I soon, too, will have a .com coming up very soon. It's about to be introduced. I've been working diligently on it. So for those of you that haven't seen me for a while, stay tuned.
And that brings us to the name of the show again, is the Three View Mirror. And here is our amazing intro. Tell me what's your name. All right. I see we're full. Blister Bill, hello. Chris, hello. James, hello. Wirehead, Katie, and Jack again. So, Chris, today's host is who? Shell?
It is me.
Yeah.
Because when I said Chris, it scared the hell out of him. His eyes got this big.
I'm like, wait a minute. I did it last week. I can come up with something really quick.
Jack is asking Michael to turn his mic up, please.
Michael, turn your mic up.
Who's Michael?
I don't know.
Do we have a ghost here?
How do we sound, guys? Before we get started, is my mic okay?
Yeah, let us know.
Like three men and a baby. We got that ghost somewhere.
I love that, Kevin. Kevin says, I just watched the dual episode of $6 Million Man. I've been binging Jamie Summers, The Bionic Woman, and Steve Austin ever since I bought my new toys. Well, if we don't sound good, let us know. But otherwise, Rochelle, take it away.
All right, so we all know that I can have a tendency, at times to shell the topics and sort of bumble them together because I overthink. I am very much an overthinker. Me. Is it me?
I can hear you.
He said Michael, Michelle, Rochelle.
Oh, Rochelle, yeah. Yeah, you're a little bit low. I would say, not terrible.
I got a new mic. Hold on.
New mics.
And then
Warrior says he can hear you all the way in Canada.
volume. There. Okay.
There we go. We can hear you.
Is that better? Better?
Sounds good.
Sounds good? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody, I'm going to kill it tonight. Topics are coming up. The topics this week are really good. They connect very simply and very easily. There is no wireframe diagram needed to pin the points together because my brain just doesn't, whatever. So we're not going to shell the topics this week, but I am going to pay homage to a time that I did shell the topics up. And that was the week I did Val Kilmer, which everybody just tore me apart for. So my very first topic, which I should have said, but didn't do, was Top Gun. And it's something we've never talked about.
I love it.
On this show, we have not talked about Top Gun. So my first topic is Top Gun. Second topic is Married with Children. I'm skipping out on the 70s today, by the way.
It's all right.
It's okay. It's our show. We do what we want. And the third topic, our little strange third topic, is nicknames. Either ones that you had as a kid, ones you currently have, ones you've given to other people. But the third topic is nicknames.
Got it.
All right. Awesome.
Top Gun.
I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. And I'm convinced you're going to shell it. And by shelling it, I mean you're going to kill it, crush it, destroy it in every good way possible.
This one's out of the park. This one's good.
Really?
Some people are saying I'm a little low and John's a little loud. So just let me know if it sounds okay now. I adjusted my volume a little bit. We want to make sure you guys can hear us perfectly before we actually get started, because you've got to listen to the entire conversation to figure out this connection here.
And if we're too loud, that's a good thing. You can always turn it down.
Yeah, you sound great now, John, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, to me, anyway. Shell, you're still a little low. I'm just kind of trying to be the moderator here for everybody in the
Okay, how about now? Testing.
I think you got lower.
Yeah.
Testing.
A little bit more.
Hell?
Do you have gain on your mic?
Yes.
Turn the gain up.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna show how old I am.
This was the whole idea.
Amazing. For a lot of us that grew up nearsighted, 4 eyes, had to deal with all that growing up, it's like a superpower now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wear contact lenses to correct my nearsightedness, but there's a bonus that it also corrects my farsightedness, so I don't have to wear readers.
All right.
That's great. Actually,
Kevin, I don't have an indoor voice, dude. I'm so sorry.
I don't have an indoor voice either most of the time.
That's a lot better, Shell.
That's better?
Yeah.
Okay. See, that's what I didn't set my new mic to my new things yet. That was the gain and the volume. So, but yes, this is our homage to being. I could read like a fly with a tiny sign flying at 30 feet. Okay, I could read his tiny sign, but I can't read what's right here in front of me.
I told you guys when I nowadays because I'm the single one of the group, when I go out on a date, if we're going to go to a restaurant, I always Google the restaurant's website, look at their menu online, pick out what I'm going to have, so I don't have to put any damn readers on when I'm going on the date to try to figure out what's on the menu. I just look at the menu like I can see everything, and then I order from memory.
All right, guys, I'm going to keep us on task
because we will be
picking.
Top Gun. Let's talk about Top Gun. We want to be all, do our timing here. John, Chris, talk about Top Gun.
One of my all-time, as far as its genre, I love the movie. It's it ages a little kitschy. It's a little weird. You watch it, I cringe at a little of the scenes, the volleyball scene. Some of Tom Cruise's acting hasn't necessarily aged great, but I don't care. I dive in. I dive into the Kenny Loggins music. I dive into the fact that it has a happy ending, that the good guy and the bad guy join forces at the end. I'm good with all of it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it is quintessential 80s. If you were to say to somebody, you know, put together like a small category, 5 or 10 movies that really are just quintessential 80s, you always have to include Top Gun. Whether you like the movie or not, it is just an 80s movie. And the soundtrack, of course, we talk about the soundtracks a lot. The soundtrack was awesome. Kenny Loggins, I think, was on every soundtrack in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. It was one of those movies that at the end, you know, we don't see this much anymore. We saw it with Creed. We saw it with Top Gun Maverick, where people got up and cheered at the end. Mm-hmm. They were clapping. They were excited. And that's, you know, I think what we miss in so many movies today. So, yeah.
I'm ashamed to say that I didn't see Top Gun Maverick, and I heard it was fantastic. I do need to go backwards, and I need to watch that one. That's on my to-do list. So but I've definitely seen Top Gun.
It was unapologetically 80s. It was popcorn. It gave us everything we wanted. It had the guy gets the girl gets the guy. The only thing, and I don't know how popular this will be, but in a Rose should have moved over on the door moment, Goose didn't need to die. Like, I don't think it moved the story forward at all. And the fact that we got to see Meg Ryan looking super cute and Goose's little baby while they're playing the piano, singing great balls of fire and showing his wonder and then killing him. For what?
Yeah.
So that Mav could throw his dog tags, which, by the way, belonged to his kid. The fact that he threw those dog tags into the ocean pissed me off almost as much as old Rose throwing away millions of dollars into the ocean with the necklace.
But they had to give you moments where you needed to cry because this was an action movie. And it checked all the boxes.
It did. Dude, I loved Goose.
I know, but that was there was a checkbox. And if you want to make a blockbuster hit, you've got to have action. You've got to have love scenes. You've got to have, you know, all the best friends and
I stand corrected. I get it. It just hurts. It just hurts because I was always more of a Goose than I was a Mav. And I'm like, you couldn't get rid of Hollywood? Yeah, I mean, you couldn't find a secondary player to take down? Well, they did. Oh my God! We will get to that. Cast Iron IRL with Honey Badger. Do not let me forget this comment. We'll get there.
There wasn't like a trope in the 80s either, like it is today, where they kill off one of the main characters. Like that was something that, you know, was unusual unless you were watching like a mafia movie or something. And so for us, it was shocking. Mm-hmm. To see Goose die. Like we just didn't see that. Now we kind of expect it. Okay, I'm into these 5 characters. They're definitely going to kill one of them off. You're just kind of expecting it, but not then.
Not then.
You know, it's funny you say that because there was only, I would say in the last many years, I don't know if it's been 15, 25, I don't even know how many it's been, that you really did see that whole let's
kill. The last what years?
So many.
Oh, I thought I said yeoman. Like
so many years. That we see main characters, literally, they don't make it past season 1 of a TV show. Yeah. And they were a main character. And that was actually a whole new idea in some ways. And you're right, Chris, to point that out, that it was brand new, truly, to see main cast character just die.
Well, and I mean, here's the thing. I'm hoping my wife's watching. She's going to hear something she says I never say. I was wrong. I never looked at it this way. I mean, this is a Brady's kid moment for me. Gee, Mom, gee, Dad, I never thought of it that way. I get it. It just, I remember as a young kid hating that moment so much, and it's kind of stuck with me. I love that somebody mentioned Iron Eagle. That's like the GoBots to the Transformers. That's the GoBot version of Top Gun for me. Have you guys heard the Quentin Tarantino takedown of Top Gun?
Go ahead. Yeah, tell us.
Chris?
I heard something about it one time.
I haven't.
No? So he looks at it and he basically says that throughout this entire movie, it's a love story, but it's not a love story between Kelly McGillis and Tom Cruise. It's a love story between Mav and Iceman. and that these two follow each other around in this circuit. And I'm not going to do it justice, but he basically calls them out, and that Mav gets his attention when he's in the locker room. And the only time finally Mav sees any interest in Kelly McGillis is when her character's in the elevator with her hair completely tucked underneath a baseball cap, looking like a guy, and that's when he's interested. It's funny. It's all said and good fun. He does an amazing job breaking it down, as only Quentin Tarantino can, and it's funny, and it's meant just in joking. But you're like, wow, that's kind of funny.
That's rough though.
It's a little rough.
It's a little rough. That's so, like
Tom Cruise does have some rumors flying around. I'm not. Yeah, sorry, Tom. Just saying.
I'm not even going there.
No, we can't go there. He's got more money than we do. He'll sue the shit out of us. I will say, did you know they had to build ramps everywhere because of Tom Cruise's and Kelly McGill's height difference?
I did. The only rumor I heard of height differences was when Sylvester Stallone always had to wear like giant platform shoes everywhere he went. That was the only thing. I didn't know that about Kelly McGillis.
Yeah, so the biggest scene is when Berlin's song is playing and they're about to kiss and he walks behind the couch. If you look carefully, you'll see him start to get taller as he walks behind the couch.
No way.
Like a ramp, so that when he ends up in front of her, they can smooch eye to eye.
I did not know that. I need to go look for that. Is that like a clip somewhere? Like you can actually see it?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
Scott, I'm sorry. I didn't say spoiler alert before saying that Goose died. Too soon.
I also think, Tom Cruise, I was talking about this with somebody today. You can say what you will about him, whatever his life is, but he's our last movie star. I feel like he's our last big movie star. His movies, it's like he's like one of the few that gets it, that when people go to the theater and pay literally $20 for a movie ticket now, that's a lot of money to the average person. And I think he kind of still gets that, even though he's got millions of dollars, and he fights for every penny for you, the moviegoer, which is why I go see his movies, because I know I'm going to get something fun. And, obviously in the 80s, he did a lot of them. Top Gun was, I think besides Risky Business, was probably his first, his vehicle. He had Risky Business a few years before that, but The Outsiders wasn't his vehicle. It was a bunch of those dudes. And I think it was his first real one where I'm a movie star guy.
It was his, he got to be in the spotlight. It literally launched his career, no pun intended.
Yeah. Dude, the other thing about Top Gun, so my job in college, I worked at Rich Stadium, which where the Bills played. That's what it was called then. But during the week, I worked at a service merchandise brand names kind of place called Dahlkemper's. And I sold camera and electronics equipment, and we had a stereo room. Do you guys remember how cool stereo rooms were in the 80s?
Yes.
You would go and they would have the Bose satellite speakers and the subwoofer underneath, and they would always have some amazing movie playing where you could hear Top Gun was that movie in every stereo room for 5 years, because you would hear the planes fly over your head. That was, we had it on repeat there.
I'm getting called out for saying wait, Linda. By the way, Linda, I put the link in the chat. You asked about the T-shirts that both John and I had on, so I put the link in the chat if you're interested in getting those. You said you were interested. Appreciate that very much. And you said I'm out of my mind though. James Woods rocks. Did I mention James Woods? I think I said The Outsiders. Maybe it was mistaken, but. Yeah, no. I was mentioning Tom Cruise and how, he did have janky teeth. And The Outsiders, and somebody pointed out to me the other day, this great picture that I use. I'm a huge Patrick Swayze fan. The picture from The Outsiders, if you go look at it, Patrick Swayze standing on a brick.
Yeah.
So he can get above everybody. I'm going to take away my love for all things Patrick Swayze, but nonetheless, they're all short. And you were mentioning Tom Cruise needing that ramp or whatever, but
listen, I'm 5'9" on a good day. At one point at my zenith, I hit 5'9.5" and thought I could see 5'10" if I squinted. But now I was trying to go the other way. So I'm all about, what do the kids call it? Short king energy. It's all good. Pop off, Short King.
My husband's still in the room. I don't know. Is he still here? Because he's got that kind of energy too. And I love a person who's only about much taller than me. I like it. I've never liked tall men.
Oh, okay. Gotcha, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm 6'1", so I am. But I was like 5'5" when I was in ninth grade and 110 pounds soaking wet, and I came back sophomore year. I was 5'11", 165. So I like grew over the summer. But yeah, I think I will tell you that Top Gun for me again, like these are the kind of movies that I want. Like this is what will bring people like an honest conversation about movies and theaters. You want to bring people back to the theater, do movies like Top Gun. And
They never did it.
Maverick, and they're starting to get it again. There's a couple coming out this summer that I'm really looking forward to seeing. These blockbusters. And Top Gun, when you think about the all-time blockbusters, it's got to be on that list. It's one of those just big, awesome, fun movies that just entertains you.
I see often in the comment section of my posts, especially when referencing these threats to remake, and people say Hollywood's just run out of ideas. Maverick proved you can still take a good concept, build on something that worked, do it right, and bring people to the theater. Because in an era where things go from new release at the theater to streamable in about 4.5 minutes, you better give us a really good reason to come to the theater, because if I wait 6 minutes, I'll get it at home.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see Maverick in the theater.
Yeah. There was a lot of people that did. They wanted that full experience because it was good. They knew it was going to be that good of a movie. Like, I mean, Beaches wasn't exactly like a movie theater. I mean, I'm just mentioning Beaches, but not a movie theater kind of, like you didn't need to see it in surround sound. You wanted it in the privacy of your own home where you could cry and do those things. You know what I mean? So, but Top Gun, yeah, definitely movie theater worthy.
I'll put that. There you go, Linda. It's in there again for you.
And then the last thing I will say is just the cast. You had Val Kilmer. You've got Tom Cruise. You've got Anthony Edwards. You've got Meg Ryan. You even have Bill Paxton, which I didn't realize. I had no idea. What was his character's name? Not Viper, Merlin Hollywood. Was he Merlin? I think he was Merlin.
I love Bill Paxton.
So do I.
He's died.
But, I mean, there's people you don't even know are in it.
Yeah.
It's a 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon movie because it's one of those movies you can use. Michael Ironside's in it. Guy with the mustache that played Viper, the teacher.
Tom Skerritt.
I mean, the only one missing, to Kristen's point, is Bette Midler singing on the soundtrack. You are the wind beneath my wings, as they go and help each other as their wingman.
Yeah.
It was Merlin. Perfect, Kevin. Thank you.
And Harold Faltermeyer was the composer.
Yeah.
Who also did Axel F. Did Beverly Hills Cop. So it's like, I don't know. It just had magic around it. Absolutely.
So absolutely awesome. Life on Wheels is here. The topic show one more time, just as we go on to topic 2, I guess.
Top Gun, Married with Children, and Nicknames. For those of you just joining us, yes. And any final thoughts on Top Gun? So we're going to move on from Top Gun, and we're going to go on to Married with Children.
Hollywood, if you're listening, and I know you're not, make more movies like Top Gun, please.
Yes.
That's
yes.
awesome.
Bring us out of our homes. Bring us back to the theater again.
Well, and then how many times did we also, again, it had one thing we forgot to mention. It had lines. I feel the need for speed. Requesting a flight. So many things they said in there. I went to school. I distinctly remember I went away to D.C. for a convention as a sophomore or a junior when this was just playing, and we were like at a dance kind of thing, and we did the you never close your eyes anymore when I say kiss your lips. We did that scene. We did that to a girl because of this movie. We went up and sang that to her. Failed miserably, but it was a thing for a minute.
Yeah, there was a lot of things, I think, back then. We didn't really realize, I'll be back. Like there were lines. There were things that they stuck. Yeah. I mean, that's not the movie, obviously. But yeah, right. We had a ton of those things that we went around saying. So, okay. So we talked about Top Gun. Now we get to talk about Married with Children. And I personally absolutely adored this show. I loved the raunchy, raw, upper, lower class, whatever you want to call it, real people humor.
I know what you really want to say.
Yeah, I loved all of that part of Married with Children. I thought the characters were amazing, and to this day, mad respect to all of them that were, part of it. So I could have so much to say about it, but I'm the host. I want to hear what the two of you have to say about it, and I'll just chime in.
I mean, it was brilliant, and it's the reason that when there were 3 channels, CBS, NBC, ABC, and everybody said there's no other channel is ever going to be able to compete with them.
Right.
And the only reason, the way that Fox did it was that they were irreverent, and they put stuff on there. People were like, "Whoa!" So you have The Simpsons, you have Married with Children, you had
In Living Color.
Living Color. They took all the shows that ABC, CBS, and NBC be like, and it worked.
They created a network out of taking chances.
Yeah.
And they always say, when you're the upstart, you're able to take chances. Why? Well, because you have nothing to lose.
Right.
So you're going to go ahead and you're going to take the chance that the others can't. I mean, people have to remember, kids today will never realize that we increased our TV viewing by 25% or 33%. What is it considered when you go from 3 to 4? But whatever the math is, it was a big deal. And yeah, somebody said it was the show that Ted McGinley didn't kill. That broke his streak after putting an end to Happy Days and Love Boat.
Yeah.
How old were the 3 of you when Married with Children came on? Shell, do we have the stat about when it started?
It started in 87.
I was 17.
I was 17. Chris was 17.
I was 13. I was prime to start watching something like that and think that it was hilarious because it was so, like, by 17 you might have been like, oh, okay, well, this is on the edge, but it wasn't necessarily like, you might have been already hearing things in high school or different things like that. Me at 13 watching it, I was like, oh, I can't believe they just did that, or they said that, or oh my God, Kelly Tahoe, whatever it was that they played the characters as, they were absolutely perfect.
And Katie Siegel, we talk a lot about, we always talk about the people that we think are vampires because they just look great 30 years later. She still looks amazing. Like, I think she might be a vampire as well.
I met her this past February when I went to MegaCon in Orlando. The woman is incredible.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say about her is Rochelle Oblak probably looks more like Peg Bundy these days than Peg Bundy. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you've got to make your way over to one of Rochelle's pages or just Google probably Gen X Shell Peggy Bundy. She does an incredible Peggy Bundy.
I do.
Up for the episode.
You know what? Maybe by the end here, when we have a moment, when we're waiting for the audience to give us a connection or whatever, I'll see if I can pull up a picture of me dressed as cosplay as Peggy Bundy. So I do. I have a soft spot in my heart for the whole show. I love the silliness of it. The no ma'am. Somebody was mentioning the no ma'am. The fact that he was a shoe salesman. Yeah. But yet, you know what I loved too was at the very end of the show. If something happened to Kelly, even though Al would make fun of his daughter being basically a hoe, his son was stupid, his wife he didn't anything. I tell you what, if something happened to any one of them or somebody wronged them in any way, here comes Al Bundy, and he was taking care of business. And there was a little love thing that went on with them where you're like, that is so sweet. At the end of the day, you could see that there was like this odd connection between them. And for some reason that I always loved that part. Biggins. Yes, Biggins.
It was irreverent. It was unapologetic. It were people being made fun of that you can't make fun of today. Al had women coming into the shoe store and there would be jokes made about their appearance, physical appearance. And I get it that we live in an era and in a time when we're more sensitive to that sort of thing. Okay. Back then it was just different. And this show went up as close to the line in terms of comedy as they could get, hoping they didn't cross the line. But it was, think about it, the nuclear family, Happy Days, Growing Pains, Family Ties, those were the shows that we watched the family sitcom before Married with Children. And Fox said, all right, well, we're going to put that on its head. and see how you like this.
And Roseanne came on. What year did Roseanne start? Because did Roseanne follow on the tails of Married with Children, showing that middle class family thing? Because I know in the 70s we talked about this before. We had some of that, lower class or middle class family stuff. That wasn't just all. It was working mom stuff. One day at a time and things. But Roseanne, was that the answer?
A year later, 88.
Okay, so maybe Roseanne was what ABC's answer to, we better put something out there that's funny and a little off-putting and lower class, to compete with Married with Children. I don't know, just a theory, just an idea.
Also, he was a shoe salesman.
Mm-hmm.
And he was supporting a family.
Yeah.
And that's something that's very different than today when we think about you have your sitcoms or your family shows and what they do for a living to support their family.
4 touchdowns in one game.
Yeah, Peg would have liked 4 touchdowns in one game. She never got it.
Ooh, she would do that walk with her high heels on.
Listen, what do kids say when one half of the relationship isn't as hot as the other half? Bundy pulled Peg. She was 10 times hotter than him. And yes, she had to beg him for it. That was funny.
Yeah. Yeah. He was like, oh, well, Peg. And he always had those lips that went up like this. Oh, Peg.
And then they all maintained careers. What was the kid's name?
David
Funk. Yeah. He didn't
do much, but the rest continued. I mean, Elle went on, of course, the actor went on famously to Modern Family and did ridiculously well.
Yeah.
Katie Segal still has a really popular podcast. Her husband's a writer. They continue to do really well.
Right?
Yeah.
Sons of Anarchy was incredible.
And she was in it. He wrote it. She was in it.
Yeah. And, Christina Applegate did a lot, but what show did she end up on for a couple episodes?
Friends.
Always comes back to Friends. Yeah, I think it was definitely, I want to say groundbreaking in some ways, but ultimately it kind of pulled the humor back to where it was in the early 70s. So when you had Sanford and Son and All in the Family, we were coming out of Andy Griffith. And now, Andy Griffith and what was the one? People Let Me Tell You About My Best Friend.
About my best friend.
The Courtship of Eddie's Father.
Yeah.
So we're coming out of that movement where everything's kind of clean and fun. And then you come out of Sanford and Son, All in the Family, the Jeffersons, they just went no holds barred with the humor. And then it got pulled back a little bit with Cheers and some of the other ones where it was fun, great sitcoms, but kind of pulling the humor back a little. And then Married with Children was nope, we're going to take it all the way again and bring it back. And
but you got to remember everything that happened because of that. I don't know if you remember the news. Both Simpsons and Married was boycotted. Ad boycotts, groups petitioning, telling advertisers, we're going to boycott if you advertise on the show. The right-wing Christian groups, and everybody was worried, and someone's got to think about the children. And then they turned around and made fun of it on the show. Mm-hmm. Both The Simpsons and The Simpsons did it famously, where they actually had a character whose only line was, "Oh, please, won't you think about the children?" But even Married, we did the same thing. They're like, no. We're not only are we not going to stop, we're going to turn it up a little bit, and because we know there's an audience there, and we've got nothing to lose.
And Katie Segal or Segal, however you say her name, I'm not even sure how you say her name actually. Segal. Katie Segal, somebody said she was the blue hair character in Futurama, and yeah, she had a very distinctive voice, so you could definitely hear that. I remember watching a little bit of Futurama.
Yes, that somebody mentioned Rules About My Daughters. She's been working. She mentioned that when it came to the cartoons, when I saw her platform, she did a panel and answered questions. First of all, she said working with John Ritter was amazing. Mm-hmm. When he died while they were filming that show, it was just soul crushing. Yeah. But Futurama, she said, there's nothing like going to work in your pajamas. Just don't have to worry about it. All you are is a voice, and they take care of the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet that would have been fun.
Yeah. And
you don't know if I'm dressed in pajamas right now, do you, from the bottom down?
We talk a lot about the themes. What's that?
I said I may be dressed in pajamas right now from the bottom down.
Yeah, I'm always wearing shorts, as everybody can always tell. I can't sit in the chair like a human being. I act like a 12-year-old.
He took it's out.
That was Seinfeld. That was in the mouth of the house.
But then again, we talk about the theme songs too.
Yeah.
I mean, Love and Marriage. This was like such a thing. And again, like I talk about, like, Hollywood, please make movies to get us back to the theater. Like, I'd love to see shows get back to having these theme songs that are just iconic. Like they really did. It really was like part of the whole development of the show itself was, what's the theme song going to be?
Yeah. I talked to somebody in production. We had this conversation, and he kind of brought up the fact that most people stream, and they've done study. People skip the intro. So you spend all this time and all this money on an intro, and people just skip it. There's just no patience for the pieces that made up. And now you talk to a Gen Xer, you talk to a baby boomer, you talk to an elder millennial, and those theme shows, the theme songs, the intros, thank you, Linda, that so many people want to skip, that's as much a part of our nostalgia as the show was.
Yeah.
We sit there on a bus singing Meet the Flintstones, the Friends theme, the Cheers theme. It brings us together.
Moving on up. Yeah, I mean, there is one, though. I just watched this show, 9 Bodies in a Mexican Morgue. It's on MGM Plus. It was okay, but I listened to the intro every time because the song for the show was Eurythmics' Sweet Dreams.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like, well, I'm going to listen to the intro every time because I love the Eurythmics.
I like what Wirehead just said there. Delayed gratification is a superpower. Yeah. Like, can't even wait for, like a microwave on 20 seconds is too long, Yep. You can't even wait for anything.
And Travin, I would agree, although I put Married with Children up there, that The Greatest American Hero is the best 80s TV theme song. Lyrics-wise, Magnum P.I. is my favorite theme song because
it's so funny you mentioned that. I did a compilation on my channels today, and Magnum's theme song was one of them.
Oh, so good. So good. So I think Married with Children, groundbreaking show, and 3 of the 4, at least, as you mentioned, went on to have great careers afterwards, continued great careers. I think, what's his name? Ed O'Neill has had a long career.
Oh, yeah.
So
David Faustino, somebody mentions his name, and I couldn't think of the name of it. Has he done anything? I'm actually, I don't want to give poor guy no credit. But here he's 51 years old. Oh, God.
He's a Gen Xer. Sir Racer says the car in the opening of Married with Children is actually the car from National Lampoon's Vacation. I had no idea. That is such a cool piece of trivia.
I didn't know that either.
Huh?
Is that the connection?
No. He was on Little House on the Prairie, Family Ties, St. Elsewhere. He did some stuff, little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get, right? Especially when you take a kid who kind of looks cute, and there still was you got to have the girl to be attractive, and you got to have the boy to be attractive, especially back then. They're going to end up in Teen Beat. They're going to end up in these magazines, and he stayed short. And I remember that was like a big thing, too, that he wasn't really short. I don't know what his height was. They started making fun of it on the show. But he didn't really progress into that Hollywood Teen Beat. He was on Modern Family. I didn't know that. So I don't know. There was a thing where Michael J. Fox, all those kids had to be cute. They had to be a girl's boyfriend ideal. And I think that's where he fell short, maybe.
You froze there for a second. I don't know if anybody.
It's okay. I wasn't saying anything important.
Okay. Well, we talked about Top Gun and we talked about Married with Children. Final thoughts on Married with Children?
I mean, classic comedy. Again, I would just go back to it brought the kind of raw, breaking rules comedy back that for about 8 years or so was missing. And they brought it back.
And it gets forgotten. I forget it. Like when I do compilations, when I do a lot of those types of things. Yeah, Wirehead compares David Faustino to Frankie Muniz. Again, they looked like they were going to fit the part, and then they ended up not. But I forget about Married with Children. It was a smaller comedy. It never grew quite to the size of a Cheers or to that mega celebrity because it was on Fox, and Fox always was the fourth network. So it didn't have the numbers the other big sitcoms did. And yet we remember it fondly.
And I will say that I knew there was this story. Ed O'Neill was actually, he had tried out for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I believe it was. And I don't know the full story. My husband's probably going to be like, you should know this. I did know it, but I forgot it. Tried out for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But apparently the year he tried out was the year that it was like Franco Harris, or my husband again. He's going to be like, he's going to be furiously typing up there. It was like these people that, but it was the year of all the big Steelers in the Steel Curtain, blah 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 era, and they beat him out, and he never became a Pittsburgh Steeler. So yeah,
He's also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
really.
Yeah, but who isn't?
Okay.
And you know what? Somebody can correct. Somebody's going to have to look that up. Want a fun fact to look up? Look up Ed O'Neill tryout, like something Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's like somewhere out there.
Oh, Wirehead just said that too. He's a kick-ass. Yeah, he's a black belt. Yeah.
Yeah, and something reminded me. I was trying to like put Married with Children into my head in terms of the week and what it looked like, and it was Sunday nights with Simpsons and Married with Children. The two of them played back to back.
Ed O'Neill Steelers story. That's what you got to look it up. He was signed as in the Steelers training camp in 1969, signed as an undrafted free agent. He was a defensive lineman, blah, blah, blah. But he got beat out by something, a lot of people. So look it up. Have
So
fun.
all of that is to say that Ed O'Neill is one of those people when you think about all the things that he's done in his life, and you're like, damn, there's some people that just like, I mean,
Shine.
he was had a shot at the NFL. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's on two of the biggest shows ever in TV history.
Yeah.
And you just think about that, and you're like, damn, that is like, that's impressive. Like some people do one thing, and you're like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
You have a whole life, like each stage of your life is a different massive success. I mean, kudos.
Yeah.
He tried out for the Steelers. Yeah, wow.
All right. So we're going to go on to our third topic. We talked about Top Gun and Married with Children. We go on to our third topic, nicknames. And I just called it nicknames, but it could be any nickname, a nickname that sticks with you, one that you've been known as, one you've been called and liked, one you've been called and didn't like, or one you feel ashamed that you called somebody else. Whatever. It's all about nicknames.
Well, and I asked the chat, basically, our virtually live studio audience, if you had a nickname besides the obvious. I don't think Wirehead's your real name. I'm assuming Metal Man isn't exactly what your parents named you, but if you had them, let's start seeing them in the chat room, and I will try to post as many as I can throw out there. For me, real boring. It's just Jono or Johnny.
Get him a body bag. So I think of when I hear Johnny.
In the 70s, all young kids were E's. My older brother was Nicky. I was Johnny. It was such a common thing to like do to boys' names. I don't know. You ever Chrissy?
No. Because my last name is Clues, it was always like get a clue, clueless, that kind of thing. And because I had, honestly, Chris, growing up with the name Chris in the 70s, like every third kid, guy was Chris.
Yeah.
And so everybody called me by last name Clues for the most part because.
Which is in and of itself a nickname. What's your full name?
Yeah, it was. What's that?
Chris in and of itself is a nickname. What's your full name?
From Christopher.
Yeah.
But nobody's called me Christopher. Like anybody called me Christopher in my friends group, they weren't my friend.
Did your mom call you Christopher?
Yes.
Only when she was mad, right?
It was Christopher William, my middle name.
Christopher William, you get over here right now.
Often.
Joe reading out of our studio audience. That's true. There was TV shows back then in the sitcoms. There was Goobers. There was Boners. There was everybody. There was Screech. There was Screech. There was Squiggy. And like there was so many, especially in sitcoms. It seemed like every sitcom had a prerequisite to have a nickname for a character. Even Seinfeld, up into the late 80s, early 90s, we didn't learn that Kramer's name was Cosmo until near the end of the series. We just knew him as Kramer.
Yeah.
The Gooch.
Yeah.
You know where the Gooch is from, right?
Well, we were just talking about even in Top Gun, it's Goose and Maverick. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
all
so
names.
there you go. For me, Rochelle has always been my given name, but the people who know me best have always called me Shell, and that's it, just Shell, and that's always been my nickname. Now I've been given other names depending on the scenario or the situation. You know what I'm saying? But I think we all have. I think it was we've all, One-Eyed Willie. There you go, One-Eyed Willie from the Goonies. We've all had different names that we've heard out there too. Long Duck Dong. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, like I can speak for guys, but a lot of nicknames, if they didn't come from your last name, they came from your physical appearance.
Mm-hmm.
There was something about your appearance and we were going to nail it. And you knew that if you had, if the kid that was in our group that was a little overweight or the one that was guy that was really skinny, but you knew that it was coming from a place of love. Like that was the difference. Like you knew when they were calling you a nickname that had to do with a physical piece of your appearance. And it was, these were the guys that loved you. These, I can speak for dudes. These were your brothers. Those are the guys, they're going to call you that name. And if somebody heard it and they were like, oh my God, how could they do that? Like, you don't get it. You don't understand. That guy I would get in front of and defend. But
Yeah, I think the movie that did that best, that we always say feels like an 80s movie, even though it wasn't, was Sandlot. They just go through and this is yes, and this is Squints, and this is, that they did it. They nailed it. You didn't get to be part of the group until you were given a name, because you got your birth name, you got the name your mom and dad gave you. That's fine. This is the name this family's given you, and they would name you. Mm-hmm. To this day, my daughter, my youngest daughter, nobody in my adult life calls me Johnny. My family a little bit, but they call me Yanni more often than not, the Greek. But when my youngest daughter goes on Facebook and sees someone refer to me as Johnny, she knows for a fact that someone I grew up with.
You see what Terrence said? This is what I'm talking about. Like, as kids, like, you're like, I don't know, like, I can just say, like, with my group of friends, our nicknames, some of them are pretty bad if you heard them from the outside, but those were my guy. Like, we were best friends, and we just defend you to the death.
Yeah.
But you were going to get called that name that was going to match your physical appearance.
Yeah.
And it was quick. I remember I went to a lot of events in school that would take me out of school, and I would meet kids from other schools. And it would be week-long seminars or events. And we would, in that week, you would gain a nickname with the people. I remember I went to Boys State in New York. And the kids at Boys State, there were like 5,000 of us at Lemoyne. They called me Zorba. And nobody in like my regular school, that never had come up. But when my parents came, I got elected Boys State governor out of 5,000 people. I was kind of a big deal. When my parents came to listen to my State of the State address with Mario Cuomo, who was the governor, the entire place was chanting Zorba, and my mom couldn't have been more confused. But even in that moment, that quickly, you get nicknamed. It's like, boom. Shell, same girls, did girls nickname each other, and was it as nice?
No. If we nicknamed each other, like I know in the little boy brotherhood that if you nicknamed someone and it was a cut on their personal appearance, you're right that you'd go fight to the death for them. You know what I mean? But if a girl gave another girl a nickname, it was generally derogatory. You didn't like her unless it was your absolute best friend, your boo, your bestie, whatever, it was. Then you can have little nicknames kind of thing. But if you nicknamed another girl something that was derogatory about her appearance, you generally hated her. And she hated you, and that was going to be trouble.
Yeah, I figured.
You did something that was embarrassing once, because that was going to be a nickname was going to come out of that moment. And if you did it early enough in life, it was going to stick with you through high school and everything else.
Yeah.
Is there a story there, Chris?
Not for me. I'm just saying, I got
called. So I went to my first high school party sneaking out of my bedroom window scenario. First and only time. And I was petrified the entire time. I'm like, my mom's going to wake up, which she did. I'm going to get caught, which I did. So I was like a nervous wreck. And I mean, it's the stereotypical Gen X party in the woods story. We paid some guy with a pickup truck to buy us Mad Dog and then give us a ride to the party in the back of his truck. Now, I grew up in a small town where a lot of people were volunteer firemen, and almost everybody had a father or an uncle that had a light that they could throw on their car. So behind us in the distance, as I'm in the back of the pickup truck, I see a light, someone yells, "Cop," I jump out of the moving truck. They took them hours to find me. I was nicknamed Jumper for about 3 years after that.
Now, did you name call people for bad reasons as well? I mean,
not to their face.
Life, are you drunk? You always ask me that. Are you drunk?
I mean, if we nicknamed somebody something bad, it would generally, they would know it, and you wouldn't say it to their face until you got into a fight, and then it would come out. Yeah. And then the fight would happen. But that's basically, you knew that if you called somebody something, that meant we're gonna throw arms, we're gonna throw hands.
Somebody in there mentioned Bubba. Like, yeah, you wonder where some of these names come from, because a lot of people have like it's a universal thing. Like, where did Dick come from? Richard, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like some of those things, you know.
How are people still named Dick today? You think you wouldn't do that anymore, but I still run across Dicks every now and then, and I'm like, seriously, dude, go with Rick.
Well, the worst.
I run across Dicks every now and then.
The NASCAR driver, Dick Trickle.
Dick Trickle.
I mean, he's a NASCAR driver. I think he might be retired now, but. Wow.
But yeah, some of the names you don't get how they get from A to Z. You're right. Richard to Dick is a tough one. For the longest time, do you know that Jack wasn't actually a name? Jack started until the 70s as just a nickname for John. It wasn't an actual name. And I don't know why it was a nickname for John. It just was.
I had no idea. Are you a Jonathan?
I'm a Ioannis.
Okay, say it again.
So Giovanni would be the Italian version, so you can almost hear the similarity. So when my parents, because they didn't want us to struggle, my baptized name, which is all that matters in the Greek Orthodox faith, because your biblical name is the one that counts, is Ioannis, and my mom just put John on my birth certificate. J-O-H-N.
Okay. I just wondered. I mean, I never really thought to ask that, but like we asked Chris about Chris.
But every teacher always said Jonathan. Like, Jonathan, sit down. Jono is derivative, is a nickname from Jonathan. People just assume.
I'm just glad that I can't imagine the nicknames I would have had if my dad got his way. My dad was a big tennis player. He was actually pretty good at it, and he grew up like, just average kid in the city. But somehow he got a racket in his hand and was pretty good at it. And one of his favorite tennis players was this dude. I don't even know. His name is Francois Jaffray. And my dad was like, let's name our son Francois. I'm like, do you understand what would have happened to me? Like, I would have been destroyed. And the nicknames that I would have had in Baltimore City.
I was just going to say in Baltimore. Now, if you grew up someplace a little more cultured, maybe.
I grew up in some beautiful suburb in Connecticut.
Right.
I grew up in Baltimore City. I'm named Francois. Like, what are you doing to me?
My mother's biggest regret is that my dad didn't let her name me Ricardo, and that she wasn't allowed to have me play the accordion. I'm like, you really wanted me to get my ass kicked.
You've been on some late night infomercials at 2 a.m.
I mean, Ricardo with an accordion. To this day I wouldn't have gotten laid.
my name is up until many years ago, I never, all through, you can imagine that I had a very unique name in high school, in elementary school. I'd met Rachel's and Michelle's and all kinds of other Shelleys and things, but there was no other Rochelle. It was not extremely common. And even now, there's Rochelles.
Rochelle, I know a Rochelle, R-I-C-H.
But there's not a lot of Rochelles.
But there is one.
I like
and her last name is Oblak, besides you.
Yeah. There's only one.
No, there's 2 news. And doesn't one of them have a record or something? So you were telling us the one day?
Oh, yeah. No, but her first name is Amy. It's
Oh.
Amy Rochelle. Oh, God. I don't know how that happened. Okay. Yeah.
Rotherhead, I agree. Francois would be shortened to Frank, but not in Baltimore. I would have been Franny, and that would have been the end of it. Like that, I know, like it's shortened to Frank,
Fancy Pancy Clues.
but that would have not been what would happen at all.
But to Shell's point, I don't think I've been clicking comments. I barely have one up before I click another because everybody's been nicknamed.
Oh, so
Everybody
Michelle
has-
Normal in Quebec. Interesting, Wirehead. Thank you. I didn't know that.
Everybody has had a nickname or nicknamed somebody or gone by one. I mean, it's so common.
Yeah, I mean, nicknames are everywhere. It just,
Why are they called nicknames?
What's that?
Why are they called nicknames?
I don't know. I didn't prepare that far into the podcast.
Now, maybe there's a reason because they're not called John names, not called Chris names. They're called nicknames. And I was just wondering why.
Oh,
Interesting.
I don't know.
Does that mean
Google
that doesn't mean somebody named Nick is allowed to have a nickname?
I don't know. Nicholas got shortened to Nick.
I wait, and I gotta say this too. Did you I don't know why do people name their children with these big long ass names and then never once in their entire lives call them? Is it a family thing? I wonder from the audience, is it a family thing because all the family has had the name Christopher? Because you never plan on calling him Chris, or it's John, or it's Nick, or it's Jim for James. Why do we do that?
I can answer this for you culturally.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
I did, but not. I don't remember.
So one scene where he goes, "This is my son Nick and my niece Nikki and Nick John," because of family names. So culturally, if the son in every family needs to name his first son after the father. So I would name my first son after my dad, as would my brother, as would my other brother. So there would be three cousins with the exact same name. They would call people by nicknames or middle names in order to help differentiate them within the families, because family names are so prevalent, honoring people within the family with the same name, that's how they would distinguish. And Kevin did the
my
same
family
thing.
didn't do that, and since we adopted our kids came like prepackaged with names. You know what I mean? So I didn't have that choice. You know what I mean? Which is okay, but our family didn't do that. Like, there's no other Rochelles in my family. I would have been really disappointed had I been named Agnes. I hate to say it.
I like it. Now, my oldest daughter has my mother's name, and Cleo has her my wife's mother's name.
Yeah.
So we repeat names constantly as an
Why
honor
can't
to
we
that
do
person.
If you were named Agnes, you would have been born at 93 years old.
I don't know. I think some of those names are kind of cool now because you don't hear them anymore.
Agnes is a 93-year-old.
I know. What was it in Friends? What did they name their daughter?
Well, well, they were going through
Emma. Was it Emma? Even Emma, they made a comment that sounded like an old person's name. You don't hear that much. Martha.
Well,
You don't hear it.
Like, oh, we're going to have a little baby Ruth.
Yeah, that's what it was. Ruth was one of the ideas.
Your brothers, though, you're all of a sudden you said my other brother, I was like, oh my God, my name is Larry. It's my brother Daryl, and this my other brother
Daryl.
Daryl.
I don't know, because I guess I didn't have a good perspective on that, because first the adoption and then my family not doing that. Like, there was no other Roberts, and my dad's name is Robert. There was no other Roberts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My mom.
It's cultural. Greeks name after grandparents. I know Italians typically name after the father. So there's a lot of juniors, seconds, thirds, and so on and so forth. And that's why they call him Junior. Which is a nick. I mean,
I never paid enough
differentiated.
attention to it. Never paid
Joe says it's Scottish tradition as well. Whole list of people to name your kids after. George Foreman's kids, I'm sure they needed nicknames because they were all named the same name. They were all named George.
Mm-hmm.
So that answers that question, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
But it is an obligation.
Yeah.
If my father's name is Vladimiros. If we had a son, he would have been named Vladimiros. And my wife's like, I don't want to do it, but I know all the Greek women will mock me if I don't. They'll
What
be like,
would the nickname for
dishonor?
that have been?
Vlad
Vlad, the Impaler. I mean, unless the kid plays hockey and is
Vlad
huge,
the Impaler.
it's just not going to work. I'm like, if he's a big kid, it'll work. But if he looks like what I did as a child, this will not end well. And my wife's like, well, we'll make a nickname. We'll call him maybe Val. I'm like, you can't switch letters around. You can't switch the A and the L. Anyway.
Coming up on
All right, so
10 o'clock. Everybody's bedtime.
we've talked about all of this. We got to get to we talked about Top Gun. We talked about Married with Children. We talked about nicknames. And there is one common thread running through everything and one secret connection. And I'm wondering if anybody has an idea, either the two of you or we want to wait for the studio audience. What do we want to do here?
Well, we can see.
I mean, I'll jump in because I don't have it. So I won't ruin anything by saying I don't have it. The only thing I could connect was the fact that they use nicknames in Top Gun, but that's connecting topic 3 that's not to a separate topic. So I'm clueless.
Yeah, that's not that. Chris?
No, I don't have a clue.
Anyone in the audience?
I'm looking. They're a little delayed.
There's a delay, so that's why I was kind of waiting around.
Yeah, that's why I jumped in. I was trying to think, did Al have a nickname? Did Peg have a nickname?
It wasn't about the nickname. The nickname is a clue to the connection.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to.
Calvin Klein.
But the nickname still connects to all. They all connect to this thing separately.
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out how.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, Fortune says I Googled. I don't want to misrepresent. I think he guessed something else. John, quit bouncing. This is your chill time. Linda, I never quit bouncing, and I've given it to both my kids, and my wife hates it. We shake the entire house apart. Let me sit on my hand. Let me sit on my legs. I'll sit Indian style.
If I tell you, it's all connected to a movie.
Okay.
All connected to a movie. And very similar to the topic when you said, John, the other week that you were going to shell it in the best way possible. I handed you up some stars for another movie based on the 3 topics. I handed you handed us Back to the Future with some stars, and I handed you up the stars. Some people were in Married with Children, some people were in Top Gun, and then the nicknames have something to do with the connection as well.
Huh.
No? I'm stumping.
Last caller. Terrence says the Goonies, not saying why. Kevin's saying don't tell me the babysitter's dead.
No, but that would be a good way. I mean, that's a nice guess because of Kelly, but I don't know that would connect to anything else. We talked about Goose.
Yeah. ER is a show, not a movie.
It's Goose. And in Married with Children, it's Ted McGinley, Mr. Darcy.
Nerds. Revenge of the Nerds.
It is Revenge.
Oh, really?
And then Booger. Yes,
Booger.
Nicknames. Booger. Yes.
Booger and Ogre and
Booger, Ogre. It's Revenge.
That's awesome. I'd completely I'd forgotten that was Anthony Michael. Like I didn't put Google.
This is Anthony Edwards.
It is. It's just he did such a great job. That is well done.
Yeah. Anthony Edwards.
Well done.
I didn't use ER at first, but I wanted to pay homage back to the fact that I shelled it. And then you double Uno plus forward me and shelled it again, but in a better way. And then I wanted to pay homage backwards to the time when I shelled it with Val Kilmer, because of course we had to talk about Val Kilmer when he died. Right. But it is Goose and why is his name Darcy? Jefferson Darcy.
Yes, Ted McGinley.
And the nickname Booger, and someone in the comments even mentioned Booger.
Yeah.
And that she had a nephew or something that was nicknamed Booger.
No, that's excellent. That's phenomenal. I'm kind of upset that I didn't get it.
Yeah. And Poindexter, yeah. I mean, there was Revenge of the Nerds. If we could talk for a second about Revenge of the Nerds. It's a movie that in some parts would not fly today, if you picked on a few tiny parts. Yes, it was that raunchy humor. It was no different than the Animal House style humor or any of those other things. There were maybe the one scene with the girl in the Darth Vader costume, maybe. But I loved the movie. I loved the music in it. I loved the themes of it. John Goodman was in that movie. Do you remember that one? I mentioned Roseanne, and John Goodman was in that movie. There were a lot of the Carradine, Robert Carradine, related to the famous Carradine family. I figured that would be a connection that nobody would really understand because it goes way out there. But this movie had it all. It had a lot of the plot devices, and it came out not very far from, I think it was 84, and what Top Gun was 86. And they feel so far away from each other, but they were very close in the time frame. But it was a movie that you stood up and you cheered for, but in a wholly different way, because the nerds won at the end. Yeah. You know, the nerds made their speech. The nerds got the girl, the nerd, everything. Yeah, the nerd got the girl.
The contest. They became, good night, James. They became cool. JTR put it perfectly. Who didn't want to be a tri-lamb?
Yeah.
But the problem with the movie today would be that we rebel against stereotypes. Yeah. If you make fun of something based on a stereotype, then it's just not viewed well. Whereas the way we looked at it was that we were laughing at the ridiculousness of stereotypes and the fact that as ridiculous as stereotypes were, they existed for a reason.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as a stereotype that was completely off. Like, what the hell? Yeah. They had their part. And I love that about the nerds. They weren't all the same nerds. They all had their own representation.
Yeah.
You just have to stop judging art on today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't judge something that was done in 1650 on 2025, and you can't do it to 1984 either.
Yep.
People need to stop doing it.
Yep.
Because for the time, just like today, for the time, art is a time capsule. And that movie did a lot for breaking through stereotypes as well. So with the nerds being the heroes, how many times did we see that before? Listen, no Revenge of the Nerds, no Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
No Revenge of the Nerds, name a movie, just one of the guys, The Lost Boys, all these movies that are different genres, but based on what? The nerds or the outcasts, the people that we didn't pay attention to, actually being the heroes. And so when I look at Revenge of the Nerds, I don't look at like the stuff where, oh, this is problematic. Well, I don't look at that. I look at like it was for the moment in 1984. Mm-hmm. That's when the art was done. And I look at the positives in it. What did it do to help us see people who we like the nerds and the brainiacs in a different light? I was 14. You know, it was a very different time for me. But looking back, I'm like, man, that movie really did a lot for kids that felt like they were outcasts or they weren't part of something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you talk about how without Revenge of the Nerds, we may not get Big Bang Theory? I say without Revenge of the Nerds, we may not get Bill Gates. It allowed kids that had a different path to success to believe in that different path to success. All of a sudden, the smart kid, the dorky kid, the nerd said, you know what? All right, you know, there's a path for me here. And I don't remember that being the case before that. Before that, I was a nerd. You know, up until probably my junior year, I was very nerdy, and I never saw myself as anything but the butt of a joke in every movie I ever saw.
Yeah, so I think this one got put together fairly well here. I loved Revenge of the Nerds. I could watch that one over and over again. I thought Booger, by the way, was a fantastic character.
I think it's going Better Off Dead as well as John Cusack's best friend.
And the way that they do some of that, like with the Asian gentleman or Asian guy, and he says, "What the fuck are Robster Cross?" I laugh, and I shouldn't, you know what I mean? But
you can laugh.
That movie way back then, it was funny at the time. It's so wrong now, and that's why it said it's problematic in some ways. But back then, I laughed at it. I don't know. Like you said, you can't judge the art from then. I would never say something like that now. I hate that
word though, because you're saying it's a problem, and I really
I don't know how else to put it.
Don't put it anyway, except it was done in a certain time.
Yes,
that's it.
And we weren't wrong for laughing at it at the time.
Well, and the fact that she says problematic, Chris, we can't pretend that it doesn't cause problems today. We may not agree that it should. That's a discussion. To say I don't think that it should, but it does cause problems. Maybe it shouldn't. More people should think like you and leave it as art, but it does cause problems today because of that. Hence the term.
Gen X, can we stop using that word? Let the
Gen X should. Gen X, I think we can stand out on it.
Let millennials use that word.
I'd love to come up with another word. Sometimes there's that whole, like, I guess you would call it a Gen X guilt, or a guilt that we laughed at things, mama jokes. You know what I mean? We laughed at Al Bundy and some of the people he made fun of in the shoe store. We laughed at those things, and then
he made fun of. I mean, an overweight woman would come in the store, and he would like, "Here, you need shoes that'll stand up to a pounding."
Yeah,
and we laughed. But I don't think Chris is laughing today.
But there's a guilt there. Like,
it's funny and it's absurdity. It's funny and it's absurdity. That's all. That's where the laughing comes from.
Kevin, I didn't realize that Poindexter was the a-hole brother-in-law in Field of Dreams. Yeah. I had no idea that was him. But I mean, so you look at those characters like Lamar and Poindexter, and like they got to be heroes. Like, that's how I look at it. Like, I'm going to look at what did the movie do for people that felt like they weren't seen.
Right.
And that's what that movie did. It allowed people to be seen very differently than how they were seen before.
Yeah. And to your point, it kept going and going and going. Themes of it were repeated in the Police Academy movies. You got Steve Guttenberg, who was the jock, the popular kid, who teamed up with some of the biggest nerds in order to make the day work. It changed the structure of the trope of the Hollywood plot so that nerds could be something different. All of a sudden, they weren't just the butt of the joke. They were a tool to be used to win at the end of the day.
Yeah. And making those characters as unique as they were. Like, they pushed it as far as they could with those characters. Yeah. Actually didn't do a disservice. It actually did a service, because we all loved Lamar.
Yeah.
And he was a ridiculous character, but we fell in love with him as the character, and we wanted him to win. Wormser. Somebody mentioned Wormser. Wormser's the kid that goes to college when he's 13 or 14. The genius kid who got picked on, but now look at it. Look at him, like, he wins the day, and he's like the coolest kid in their little punk rock band.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I
love
got
it.
10:08 on my time. I know that on the West Coast, everything's looking good. On the East Coast, it's getting late. Guys, I love the show. This was awesome. Great topics, great reveal. You shelled it.
I shelled it.
In a good way.
In a good way, yes.
I did see someone say, though, in the comments that it was Calvin Klein with Jesus.
Yeah. That's going to live on in infamy. It's all right. That's your wind beneath your wings. Enjoy it.
That's your nickname.
I shelled it.
That's your Principal Vernon.
That's the Principal Vernon and the Beaches. So,
all right. So a little bit of housekeeping. You can watch us live every Monday night at 9 p.m. At least until Monday Night Football starts. That might become a scheduling conflict. I don't know. That didn't occur to me until just now. So for the time being, it's Monday night at 9. Yeah. We'll see what happens after that. You can see me live tomorrow on my YouTube channel for our Gen X Trivia. I'll be live at the Hickory Tavern in Fort Mill, South Carolina. If you ever want to come in, grab a beer, grab a drink, I am hosting and running Gen X Trivia from 7 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Catch me live there, or catch me virtually live on YouTube.
And I just want to say again, Linda, I'm sorry you missed the link. If you find me on Facebook and send me a message, I will get you the link to the T-shirts that both myself and John have.
It's also in my link tree. If you go to my bio on any of my platforms, you'll see a link to genxjohno.dashery.com.
Yeah, so awesome. I didn't even think about Monday Night Football. Let's not think about that. We still have 5 months or 4 months. So, yeah.
All right, bye for me, guys. Stay cool. Peace.
Thank you. Stay rad, everybody. No, I thought you were going to mix it.